My name is Don Schmitt. I'm an interior designer in Cleveland, and in my effort to celebrate Cleveland and all of the amazing art and every kind of creative energy possible that exists in Cleveland, I'm here at Cleveland Public Theater, and I'm talking with Ray McNiece. Ray is a published writer and a poet. He's a musician with a band. He travels all over the world in his work. He's created programs for schools to help children, and he lives in Cleveland, Ohio. He is an example of a creative person, an artistic person, and a successful person in his art, living in Cleveland, Ohio. So Ray, it's nice to see you again.
Good to see you, Don.
And you're here at the Cleveland Public Theater, and you're in a play about Yeats.
Exactly.
W.B. Yeats.
See behind us.
Which we're not going to talk about right this minute.
Okay.
What I want to know is, what have you been doing? Before you answer that, you have been, I know, doing something with schools, and I'd love for you to chat a minute about that. And then just with regard to your poet readings or your books, if you've written anything new, bring me up to date.
Well, I just actually came from a teachers' conference, a dinner. The IRA, Euclid chapter of the International Reading Association, brought me in as a poet because I had been working in the schools for about 20 years. So that's why I'm a little bit late today, but I had a good opportunity to connect with some of the teachers there. My sister used to teach in the Euclid system, so it was kind of cool, good connection there. Earlier today, I had to get my book list together for a class I'm teaching at John Carroll University. I'm teaching a 400 level poetry workshop in the fall. So I had to get my ISBN numbers and everything over to the secretary there so she could order the books for the students. So I'm going to have about 15 students, and I'm going to do what I do, which is teach them not only how to write poetry, but how to perform it, which they don't have that component usually in academic settings. They don't have performance poet per se, performance poetry per se. So it's something I'm trying to introduce, and hopefully it's something I can continue to do at John Carroll or whatever universities I find myself in. So, you know, I've got so many different plates up in the air at all times. I'm wearing so many different hats. I mean, I'm getting ready to perform tonight as Cuchulainn, the legendary Irish hero. You know, next week I'll be Johnny Appleseed in a school. I do Thomas Jefferson, so I do historical characters. I have a poetry theater show I do, which I'll be doing again next week. So I keep busy this time of the end of the year. I try to get as much work as I can and get ready for, like I said, I'm teaching this.
But enough about you. Let's talk about me.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Do you have any travel in your plans? I know that a lot of times you go out of the country and you're working with people in other cultures. Is there anything happening this year? I know you were away last year.
I'm trying to go over to Ireland. I would love to go back over to Ireland. I've been there once before and do a poetry tour, and I've actually met Paul Muldoon about a month ago. He's a poet from Northern Ireland, and which is where my ancestors are from. So I want to kind of connect up with him, and we're thinking about Raymond Bobkin, the director of this show. We're thinking about taking it over there to Ireland.
Oh, that's fantastic! Now this is a Cleveland production.
It's a premiere, original.
A premiere Cleveland production of a play by Yeats.
It is 5 of
Yeats.
Yeats's plays,
Okay.
all the Cuchulainn plays, which is as I mentioned, the legendary hero of Ireland, and that's the part I play. I play the Irish hero Cuchulainn, which is the story of the poetry of my people. It's the mythic poem of my people, my ancestors from Northern Ireland. So it's really fitting and appropriate, and a nice coincidence that I get to play this part. So,
would it be typecasting?
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
So I'm not able to do as much theater as I want because I'm traveling a lot. I go out of the state quite a bit. I was down in New Orleans, my home away from home this winter, and did some performances down there and did some schoolwork down there, and mostly just hung out and listened to some music because that's another one of the disciplines that I work in is music. So.
And your band is performing in Cleveland currently, isn't that true?
We're performing this coming Saturday at the Hessler Street Fair at the Barking Spider, which is kind of the adult beverage annex of the Hessler Street Fair. You can't get any beer at Hessler Street Fair, but if you come over to the Spider, you can get a cold beer and listen to my band from 3 to 5 on Saturday. It's called Tongue and Groove, is the name of my band, and for this, I think, is our 10th year of doing that poetry open mic as part of the Hessler Street Fair Daniel Thompson, kind of the great poet laureate of Cleveland, handed that down to me, so it's a great honor.
Well,
I'm trying to keep that tradition going.
That's pretty exciting. You know, it's interesting because I know Ray's poetry. It's something that I particularly appreciate. A number of books that you've written, I've read them all. And to see Ray perform and read his poetry is a real treat, so I hope anybody who sees this video will make themselves available to see Ray perform while he's in Cleveland. Now, I just want to end our interview by talking about what's so important here tonight with this open mind firmament. How did you get involved in this? Did Raymond Check come in and ask you to participate? Did you have an interest in this?
As soon as I got a brochure, Cleveland Public Theater is my theatrical home. I premiered my first solo show here back in 1990, and I've had a couple of premieres of the kind of poetry musicals I've done. Rust Bowl Hootenanny and Mouth Music was the other ensemble piece I did with my band. Around poetry. So this is kind of my theatrical home. When I got the brochure for this season, I saw that they were doing this Yeats play, and Yeats is my favorite poet. He's the great legendary Irish poet, and I know probably a dozen Yeats poems by heart. So as soon as I saw that, I emailed Raymond, and he said, I'd love to have you be a part of it, but you've got to audition like everybody else. The great story of it is that the first week he didn't tell us what our roles were at all. I got through the audition process, and he didn't tell us our roles, but the first week of rehearsal, he said, well, Ray, can you go sit out there? You're going to be Cahulan. So it was like, wow. I was like, yeah, all right.
Typecasting.
Yeah, so
typecasting.
So that was kind of cool. I worked with him previously as a writer we adapted the Tibetan Book of the Dead, also original premiere here at Cleveland Public Theater about 7 years ago. So I had worked with him as a writer, but I'd never worked with him as a performer, and I wanted to because he comes out of the Stanislavski-Grotowski method, which is, I was trained in Boston, Massachusetts in method acting, or Stella Adler, that's the approach that I learned. So I'm always trying to grow as an artist, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to go through the process, the training process, which is what they're out there doing right now, my cohorts in the cast. And we trained for 2 hours every night before we even did any scene work. So it's a lot of physical work, a lot of, you have to kind of get in touch with your body rhythms and how you move, and a lot of vocal work. We created several songs for the show, using existing folk songs, Irish folk songs, and Armenian folk songs, and Haitian folk songs, which you'll hear as a kind of underscoring the action in the show when you come.
That's amazing.
And I play boran, which is Irish drum, which is kind of cool. I think that helped me maybe get the part, But, so you put all that together, and it's an original using Yeats's poetry and his 5 Cahulan plays, and then the stuff that we've added in, and the ancillary text that Raymond, the kind of connective tissue that Raymond has added. And it's this incredible magical theater. It's not realism. I mean, it's poetic theater, which is what Yeats was trying to do, what Raymond has tried to do in his productions. The Tibetan Book of the Dead was the same way. It wasn't, you didn't come there expecting to get realism. You don't when you see one of the productions that he's directed. It's a fantastical, magical kind of theater. And
sounds like my life, fantastical, magical kind of theater. Listen, I know you need to get back because they're all out there doing whatever they do.
Yeah, we're a team, and they like to put me through my paces too.
Yeah.
I have to go out there and do my training with the rest of them. So
you got to step up. All I know is that this is an amazing situation here in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm calling it a situation because I want people to understand that world-class theater is right here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes, exactly. And you should visit raymcniece.com if you want to find out more information about me. So thank you so much, Don, for taking the opportunity to celebrate not only my work, but the good work that Cleveland Public Theater is doing.
Thank you very much for your help tonight.
All right.